Good evening, everyone, or good morning, or good afternoon, depending on where you are. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another edition of the Monsters Den. Today, in the co-captain's chairs, Mr. Jamie Laszlo and Mr. Chris King Allo is in the house. Happy New Year, everybody. How you guys doing?
Hey,
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
First Monsters Den of 2022, and we're going to do one that has been asked for many times. We've been talking about doing it for a while. This is all about some of our, I guess, how do you call this? Our favorite, like, oh shit moments, or like the scary moments?
Because we're talking about movies and we saw that scared us as a kid, I was thinking like childhood traumas. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, I mean, so, the films, or more importantly, the scenes that really scared us and freaked us out, either as young adults or kids, or even today. It's very possible, right? So I've asked everybody to pick out some of their favorite moments that really just scared the crap out of us when we were younger, or in more recent times. We might have some honorable mentions maybe. So I'll have Chris kick us off with his first selection of the day.
Okay, cool. This is a topic that I thought about for a while because, I mean, it's, this is the one thing that's for me, I'm always like, I wish I could go back to that, because being an old grump, like, I haven't been scared by a movie in like 40 years.
Yeah.
So it is a cool thing. These are all mostly ones that scared me when I was a kid. I'll start with this one because this is the first one I can actually date. And I mentioned this on a previous episode, and I don't know how I can remember the channel, but I was at my grandparents' house. I think it was a Sunday. It was definitely 1977, because that's when this was released theatrically. So I was 6 years old, and I already liked horror movies. But it wasn't even the movie. It was the 30-second TV spot came on Channel 5, which was WNYW in New York, and it scared the shit out of me. And it's the scene where you see, and it was a total shocker. You see a pretty lady combing her hair, and all of a sudden she turns around and she's got the face of a skull. And it was, of course, for the movie Suspiria, which, of course, that scene doesn't even exist in the movie. But I was petrified beyond belief. Of course, like probably, 10 years later or so, I actually saw the movie and enjoyed it, but I didn't connect the dots until 1991, when I got 91, 92. I got a Laserdisc player, and they had come out with Suspiria on Laserdisc, and they put that TV spot. Laserdisc didn't have many extras, but they were the godfathers or the fathers of DVD and Blu-ray, and it had like the trailer and the TV spot, and the TV spot I froze. I was like, oh my God, that was a thing that terrified me as a kid. And I don't know if you guys remember that trailer or that TV spot, but man, it's terrifying. I'm pretty sure it's on here on the 4K on the special features. If not, I have multiple versions anyway that has.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen it, and I haven't watched my 4K of Suspiria yet. So I'm gonna.
It's like she's combing her hair, and she's got like a flower in her hair that I guess you could see a little bit, and she's like, looking at it now, it's so stupid, because she's like, roses are red, violets are blue, the iris is the flower, that will kill you, and she turns around and she's a skull. And I'm like, and they then they do this, the breathing letters, Suspiria, and it's all creepy and stuff. And man, even as a horror movie fan at 6 years old, scared the crap out of me.
Wow.
Pretty good.
Trailer. Just the trailer did it.
Just the trailer. I mean, I still love the movie. But
Yeah,
that trailer scared the crap out of me.
and great soundtrack.
Cool.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. All right, Jamie, what's your first pick?
All right. Well, I got 8 main ones, and I just realized I forgot one, but I have a feeling one of you might bring it up. If not, I'll bring it up real fast at the end. But I put them in degrees of holiness, because these are kind of like holy shit moments. So they're degrees of holiness, starting with, first of all, well, hold on. Holy mackerel. We're going to start with holy mackerel. Not too intense, no swearing yet, but it makes you go, oh, holy mackerel. And before I spin this around to give you the scene, I hate to use it again, but for anyone who has not seen Diabolique, please just fast forward through me. I'm only going to talk for about 90 seconds about this. It's the very end of the movie. Do not listen to me. At the end of the movie, after the movie, there's actually a thing that says, don't ruin it for your friends, for people leaving the theater. So it's been out since 55. So you've had a lot of time to watch it, but if you didn't see it, and this makes you want to see it, well, if this makes you want to see it, that means you effing watched me. So I'm doing the very end. Ready? 2, 3, 1. That is what nightmares are made out of. Now, what makes this work for me is the buildup during the whole movie. And it's a French movie. Diabolique means the devils. And these two chicks try to kill a guy. They dump him in a pool on a school ground. And they drain the pool and the body's not there. Where's the body? And there's kind of like rumors that he's being seen here and there. And then they do a group photo, and behind them in the photo, you see his one eye in the window. And it's like the buildup and the buildup. And then at the end, this happens. He comes out of the bathtub, and it's supposed to be shocking in the movie for a reason. So yeah, and I saw this in my late 30s, and it gave me the creeps. Is late 30s a young adult? So
no,
yeah,
that's just an adult. I'm sorry.
Am I a young adult now? I always thought I was a young
you're
adult
old.
now.
No.
All right. Well, Diabolique is my number 8 at Holy Mackerel.
Yeah, it's I just saw that for the first time recently, and that's a great ending. Yeah, I knew there was going to be some kind of twist to that movie, but I was like, it's not really what I thought, and I was like, wow, that's pretty freaking great. Very good film for those of you who haven't seen it.
Yes, and the girl walking down
the whole ending.
The girl walking down
was called Sorority House Massacre.
And the girl's got a see-through nightie on during that scene for 1955 too.
Yes.
Ah, the French.
All right, my first choice here today is a film I saw in the theaters when it was first originally run. And it was one of those classic films where it made me laugh and it scared the crap out of me, and it had werewolves, so I loved it. But there was one scene in the film that just really freaked me out. And it was like, it's one of those films, or one of those scenes, I should say, where, every movie does now, these quick little jump scare type of things. But back then it was kind of new, kind of fresh, talking about American Werewolf in London. And the scene is young David is in the hospital because, of course, he's already gotten attacked by the werewolf. His best friend gets butchered right in front of him, right? So he's in the hospital, he's having a dream. And in that dream, he's back in his house, wherever the hell he lives, with his family, his brothers and sisters. They're watching the Muppets on TV. It's just like, oh, back with the family, whatever. The doorbell rings. The father's like, I'm coming. He opens the door, and there's these crazy mutant Nazis out there with machine guns, right? They start shooting up the family. They start, just massacring all of them, lighting the place on fire and stuff. It's totally horrific. He wakes up and he's like, holy crap, that's an awful nightmare I just had. He looks over, and there's the lovely nurse who's taking care of him. She's like, oh, you must have had a bad dream. But at least you're up. I'll go open the window, get some light in here, whatever. And she walks over to the window. She pulls open the drape, and there's another mutant Nazi with a big knife, stabs her to death. He's like screaming. He wakes up again, and he's like, oh, shit, or holy shit, he says exactly. And that's the scene, but it's like one after another. And it's like when you're sitting there in a theater and everything is dark and big screen, it's just like you totally didn't expect the second part of it when the window opens, and there's another one again. So for me, at whatever, I guess I was 13 at the time, that was pretty cool, and it totally gave me a jolt that I will never forget. So
the old dream within a dream.
Dream within a dream. That's right. Yep.
Nice.
Yep. And then, there's some other scenes in that film that are kind of, quick and whoa, there you are. But that was my favorite of all. Back to Chris. Cool.
Nice. Yeah, mine are all, I wish these were all in theaters, but yeah, these are all from when I was very young, like 4, 5, 6 years old. And this one was, so all of these I saw on regular TV. This was before cable and before VCRs. And this one was made for TV. It originally aired, I think, in 75. I don't know if I saw I doubt I saw the original airing because that was at night, but I probably saw it within a year or so because they did rerun everything. And it's 3 stories, and the third story was the scary one. Here's the DVD. I just replaced it with the Blu-ray version, and of course it's Karen Black in Trilogy of Terror. I don't have Jamie's light, but yeah, spoiler alert. The Karen Black is being attacked by this little Zuni fetish doll, which I have the toy of, but I don't know where the hell it is. It's in the attic somewhere. And for 20 minutes she's being attacked by this stupid little doll. But the scary part as a kid is once the doll is dispatched of, Karen Black is on the phone with her mom, and she's like, "Yeah, come over and see me, mom." And she hangs up with the phone, and you only see her from the back. And then when she turns around, Karen Black is all creepy looking and has a knife and has the teeth, the fangs, like the Zuni doll, because she's been possessed now by the doll, and she's going to stab and kill her mom as soon as her mom walks in. So as a kid, that part definitely freaked me out.
Yeah, that whole part.
The rest of the movie sucks.
It totally does.
The first 2 stories are awful, but man, it's all in that last story.
Yeah, that's a great one. I remember the first time I ever watched that, I was like, "Holy crap, that dog!" Yeah, awesome, cool, good choice. All right, Jamie, back to you.
All right. This is one that I used to see on TV quite a bit as a kid in the 70s, early 80s. And I have a fear of the ocean. I have a fear of sharks, and I have a fear of flying. And my wife wants me to fly to Kenya with her. Fly over the ocean that's filled with sharks. The trifecta.
Yep. So
this scene, very famous scene. And the reason it works, I mean, I watched this a lot as the ABC Monday Night Movie or whatever.
Sure.
And the first time I saw it on my little TV in my bedroom, it scared the hell out of me. And the reason it works is because when the shark is around before this scene, you hear the dun dun dun. There's no music warning in this scene. It just comes.
Right.
And you're like, holy crap. And for years watching it on TV, edited for TV, I didn't hear the "why don't you come down here and shovel this shit" line until, VHS. They think the word shit's going to scar you, but that's not going to scar you for life, but the word shit will.
But now you can say shit on TV, so.
Holy crap. We're up to holy crap.
There you go.
Nice.
Holy crap.
Well, don't put that holy crap away, because in fact, you can just keep that out, because my next choice is also from Jaws. For me, the scene that always freaked me out, I mean, the whole film is full of great freak out moments, but including yours. But how about the scene where Richard Dreyfuss as Hooper is underwater investigating the old hull of the ship, and that dead body just kind of pops up like right out of nowhere and just floats on by?
Yeah.
I was like, woo, for, mid-late 70s. That was like, that was pretty cool. If I was a little kid when I first saw this film. So that was definitely a scary freak out moment for me. And the whole film in general, because I after seeing Jaws for the first time, I was like, man, I definitely don't want to be in the water anywhere where it's deeper than like my top of my head. No thanks.
No, they can get you up to your knee, Pete.
Yep.
I know. Yeah, they can get you. Yeah, exactly.
And that scene, an older Spielberg would never do that. That's a young Spielberg.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, well, because he's going for the scare tactics, right?
Yes.
Because I mean, Jaws at its core is kind of like an adventure film, but he threw in all this awesome, horrific monster type stuff, which makes it the great film it is, right? Because it's got a little bit of something for everybody.
And great characters.
Oh yeah, legendary. Cool. All right, Chris, back to you.
I didn't pick Jaws, but if I did, I figured one of you guys was going to mention it. The scene I was going to use was when the shark does the death roll on Alex Kintner. First when he bites down on Alex, and then he explodes, and then he does the alligator kind of death roll.
Yes.
I always thought that. To this day, I think that's the scariest scene in the movie.
Which made it look so real, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and all happening with all these other kids around.
Yep.
And the blood coming up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's
you're
very
on a beach.
authentic.
tons of other people, and yeah, totally.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jaws is a great pick for sure.
Yeah.
All right, my next pick, again, another one I saw as a little kid on TV, and it was the '70s, so they had to have a dark ending. Not always, but lots of times. And yeah, spoiler, man, this one has the classic bleak '70s ending. It's got Warren Oates and Peter Fonda and Loretta Swit, and I had to buy it twice because it's so good. It's 19. What year is this? 1975's Race with the Devil. Here's the DVD. God, this is a terrible cover. At least this one they use the actual movie posters. But if you haven't seen it, two couples are being chased by Satanists for the whole movie. It's a Satan movie. It's a car crash movie. It's a horror movie. It's an exploitation movie. The end of the movie, they're in an RV and they think they're free from the Satanists. So they're in a camp. They're parked in a camp. The two couples, and all of a sudden, all the Satanists come out in their hoods and they light a ring of fire around the RV, completely trapping them. So they're doomed and they have nowhere to go. And that was a pretty frightening scene. I mean, the whole movie's pretty intense, but that bleak '70s ending is definitely.
I was going to say bleak is all hell, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely. I mean, they kill the dog. I mean, they just do. They're trying to kill these two couples the whole movie, but the end is pretty bleak.
Can you handle dogs dying in movies, Pete?
I have a really hard time with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's one thing when it looks obviously really fake, but sometimes they try to make it look as authentic as possible. And I'm like,
and then you're Googling, you put in the movie, did dog really die?
I've done that so many times. Yep, I've done that so many times.
I mean, unless it's an Italian movie, they probably didn't. I mean, those Italians are liable to do anything. But
I remember the first time I watched Cannibal Holocaust, and I'm like, that poor turtle. I'm like, my God.
Yeah.
I was like, I will never watch that again.
All right. I remember.
I kind of refused to watch it because of what I heard.
Yeah. I mean, we ran Cannibal Holocaust when I did Hudson Horror and warned everybody up and down. But the first time I saw it off film was in the city. This is probably like 20 years ago. And there was all these college hipsters laughing at everything because all the movies from 1979. So everything that happens is funny. But yeah, sure enough, they got to that turtle scene and everybody shut the fuck up.
Yeah. Oof.
Yeah, it's rough.
Yeah. All right, Jamie, back to you. No more animal stuff here, please.
Yes, no more animal stuff. Well, I got a couple, but they're bad animals. We are up to holy shitski. Like when you're a kid and you didn't want to swear, you say shitski. This one's a little obvious. Going with these two chicks because they scare. The first time I ever saw this movie, we're in Florida in a hotel. I was about 11 years old and we had free HBO and The Shining came on and we're all kind of watching it. Me and my two cousins and my uncle is in the other bed and Jack Nicholson drops the F-bomb. Oh, he got up and went switch. Again, this traumatizes me, not the F-bomb. So yeah, I never got to see the rest of it. What if he missed the F-bomb and saw the chick come out of the bathtub and we were like 11 years old? He would have freaked out. But yeah, very scary. What I don't like about this scene, little rant. This is becoming a meme I'm seeing. And I hate memes. I hate them. And it's so suiting that the me generation came up with something spelled M-E-M-E, memes. And I hate it when they use movies because you see these memes for like years because nothing gets old with these people. The same joke is funny every time. And it changes the meaning in your brain of the scene. Yep. And when you see it in the movie and it comes up, instead of the intended meaning, your brain goes to the dumb memes that you've seen. So it gets ruined in a way. It's kind of like when you use a song in a commercial in a way. So yeah, stop using this meme. It's scary. It ain't cute. It ain't funny. Come play with us, Danny. All right, ran over.
There's a few scenes in that film I think that are unnerving and yeah. In fact, I can think of, well, you know what? I won't even say anything because it may come up in one of yours later on, but it's relating to Stephen King. There might be a couple other. Anyway, I will shut my mouth. My next one, I saw this one in the theaters too. And for me,
Wow.
how do you hear that?
Drag racing going on?
I mean, Chris, you know where I live. That should not be happening.
No.
I live out in the middle of nowhere. There should be none of that kind of stuff on my road. Jeez, that's crazy.
That's a daily thing with me.
These people are maniacs. Anyway, I saw this film in the theaters. This is the first film in a franchise. It's still my favorite of the franchise. I think I love the claustrophobic menace of this entire film. And I think there's a few scenes in it that, when I first saw it, scared the crap out of me, especially one of them. The film is Alien. This is the box set, Blu-ray box set, the first one, right up there. So late in the film, after the creature has been kind of eliminating some of the crew one by one, there's only a few of them left. So you got Ripley, Sigourney Weaver's character. She's trying to do some stuff on her own, and off goes Lambert and Parker. Parker is Yaphet Kotto. Lambert is Veronica Cartwright. And they're off together, and they're in this part of the ship, and all the alarms going off, and there's all the steam going off and everything like that. They both got guns and whatnot. But the scene where they see the cat, right? And she's looking, trying to get the cat, or Parker's trying to get the cat. And then all of a sudden you see the shadow behind Parker, Yaphet Kotto's character. And the shadow is great because it's the same shape as we've seen the creature in the whole film. It's got the big kind of like hump thing, whatever. And she sees it. She screams to him. He turns around, and there's the alien towering over him with the jaws coming out, dripping down, almost like a smile on his face. He's like screaming, he doesn't know what to do. And all of a sudden the jaw comes out, kaboom, she's screaming. And then he turns on her. You see the cat, and then you know that she is done for. And I remember sitting in the theater watching that whole scene. It was so tense, and it happened fairly quickly. I mean, the whole leading up to that, with them wandering around and all this kind of stuff, trying to find Jonesy the cat, and then boom, they run into the alien creature. And I think it's one of the best scenes in the film, still to this day. So that is my pick for next one, Alien.
Nice. Yeah.
Great movie.
Great
I remember
movie.
being a kid and seeing the toy in the stores and going, why are they making a toy for a movie I can't see because it's rated R?
You gotta make money somehow, right? You can have the toy, but you can't go to see the film.
Right.
You're too young. Sorry, buddy.
It's true.
Yeah.
Back then it was hard to. There was no, VHS tapes. There was no rental. It was hard to see it.
Yeah, you had to wait for it to come on cable, right? And that took a while.
Or actually, just regular TV. Because Alien came out in
edited for
79,
content.
so
Yeah.
Cable was in the process of being rolled out. So like I know we didn't get cable till 82.
Yeah,
we didn't get it till 86.
Wow, no, we got ours in 80 or 81, but it was weird back then because like there was like
had to wait till they
period.
came. Yeah. They did not. I remember we kept calling. They did not come to my street until 1982.
Yeah.
Oh, they came to my street. My parents were just cheap.
And then when you got cable, and I think we got HBO and Cinemax pretty early on. And I remember they would show these movies. You weren't getting anything new for a while. I mean, it was like 2 years after a movie was in the theaters, maybe you got to see it. And for a limited run, they would only run it for a certain period of time. Then it was gone.
Right. There was definitely a window because first would be VHS would get it first.
Yeah. Yeah. But it was good because you got to see like the older films. I mean, that's where I first got to see one I'm going to talk about in a little bit for the first time on Cinemax. And it was like late at night. And I was like, oh, look at that. So you got to see like the early, like the 70s and the 60s films they would show periodically. But we'll get to that. Anyway.
In the 80s, they used to say HBO stood for, hey, Beastmaster's on. Because it was always on.
True.
Yeah, that it was. Yep. All right, Chris, what do you got?
All right, mine's another one from my childhood. I saw this as a kid, and I actually saw it on the original airing, and I think it was 1978, I want to say. And I love Rich Catino, but he was shitting on this on some episode of The Monster's Den that I wasn't on. I wanted to reach through the computer and slap him in the face. I think it's one of the scariest movies of all time, and I think it's Tobe Hooper's masterpiece. Of course, I had to buy it 2 times. I'm talking about Salem's Lot.
That's the one I said I forgot.
And that's the one I kept my mouth shut on before.
The DVD and the Blu-ray I got a couple years ago, and man, it is, yeah, it's a little long, but I watched it, I don't know, maybe a year ago, and I still think it's very frightening. There's so many great shocks in it, but the part that always scared me is when and I don't remember all the kids' names, but when the monster kid, the main kid, is in his bedroom and he's got all the horror movie toys and posters and shit, and his friend Danny Glick, who recently died, is literally floating outside his window and scraping on the window, and he's like, "Hey, let me in," and he's floating all weird and stuff, and yeah, I think that's some pretty heavy, scary stuff.
That's in most of our minds. Yeah.
Yeah.
Stayed with us.
That's a great scene.
And they're actually remaking this for a second time. They did one with Rob Lowe, and there's another one that they're making now. But I'm sure it won't be a fraction of as frightening as Tobe Hooper's.
Now, didn't they shorten that one and call it Salem's Lot the movie?
Yes,
and released it in England or something.
Yeah, what they did was, he did shoot extra footage, and yes, that's it exactly, Jamie. It was released theatrically in England and I think in a few other countries as well in Europe, but it was released as the miniseries on free TV in the States. There was a couple little seconds of extra gore, but I believe that they reinstated the extra gore scenes on the Blu-ray to make it like technically a third version, because Salem's Lot the movie is just a basically a truncated movie version.
Chris, if I remember correctly, our conversation with Rich at Chiller Theater during lunch, he has kind of changed his tune a little bit on that film.
Oh, did he now?
He called him out on it at lunch, if I remember correctly, and he was like, "It's okay. I kind of like it now."
Yeah, it's all right. It's all right. It's it's no Keeper of the Seven Keys, but it's all right.
We love you, Rich.
Oh, you and Winger, Rich. You and Winger.
All right, Jamie, what do you got?
We're gonna go up to a good solid holy shit.
All right.
I saw this movie in the theater with my grandpa, 1982 in Elwood City, PA, in a shitty little theater. And I was a little late to the game on this. It was probably out for a month or so, month and a half. My friends saw it and they said, "Dude, watch out for the clown." And it still got me. And Poltergeist, it still got me. This or The Tree, either one. The Tree is good because he's counting the seconds between thunder and lightning to see if the storm is fading, but the seconds get smaller and then the tree comes through. But this is just as good when he lifts up the bed on one end and then goes on the other, and then the clown gets them. And I don't care, speaking of Tobe Hooper, I don't care what anyone says, Spielberg directed this. All right. I was reading online too. A lot of people involved with the movie said it was Spielberg directing it. He couldn't put his name on it because he was doing E.T. at the same time under contract. And it has his fingerprints all over this. You watch this and go, that's a Spielberg moment. So, if someone made a list of their favorite Spielberg movies and put this on there, I wouldn't yell at him.
Rich Catino would totally do that.
Of course he would. I'd probably do it too. But I know I'd get yelled at, so I wouldn't do it. But, yeah.
Whatever the involvement of either one of them, it's still I love Poltergeist.
Yeah, I mean whoever made
clown.
It.
Yeah. All right, this particular film, when I was younger, the entire film scared me. Disturbed me, left me thinking about it, and turning the lights on in all the rooms. It freaked me out because it's just the whole idea behind it is really disturbing. Now in my older age, it doesn't bother me as much, but it's still kind of chilling and I still really love it. And we got to see it as the leadoff film on the recent Exhum's 24-hour horror-thon. I'm talking about The Exorcist. And I think the scene that really always got me the most is the first scene where Father Damien goes into the room to see Reagan for the very first time. And he didn't really know what to expect. And, he hears that all outside in the hallway and he feels how chilly it's gotten. And he opens up and there she is sitting in the bed and she's got the steam rising off her and the, dribble all around. And she's got those eyes and she looks really horrific. And he starts asking her questions, and she starts responding and starts talking all the different languages and with the holy water and all that kind of stuff. And I'm just like, oh my God, as a young kid watching this film, I was like, because it seemed very real to me. And I think that's a couple of the ones, I know another one I'm going to mention soon, also had this realistic nature to it that I think really, really freaked me out as a young kid. And I remember also, like many years later, I'm going to say back in the early 90s, I was down to Jersey Shore with some friends, and we went to the house of a friend for the evening for dinner and to hang out and watch a movie. And they played The Exorcist. And I remember I had a lot to drink and I'm sitting there, it's pitch black in there, it was late at night watching this. And for the first time in like 20 years, that movie completely freaked me out all over again, once again. And that, I mean, how often does that happen, right? So I was in my 30s at the time, and I was like, or no, actually my 20s. And I was like, man, The Exorcist got me again. So yeah.
Now, when you guys saw it at that 24-hour-thon, was it the original cut or was it the 2020?
It was the version you've never seen before. The
Okay.
director's cut, yeah.
I watched the original last night for the first time in like 25 years because I just got the Blu-ray. And that one I like better. I do, because there's less demon faces and it's almost subliminal, you know. It's like, did I just see that? And in the newer one, he's in it so much, he's like a character. And I don't like that. But you do get the spider walk,
which is great. Yeah. Here's my issue, not to get off into a tangent here, but my one issue with the extended version you've never seen is that if you recall in the original film, Damien's mother goes to the home. That's where she dies. In the extended version, they forget about all that. You see him go into the home to visit her. And then the next scene, he's talking to the other priest about how I should have been there for her. She died in her house all alone. And I should be there instead of here. And it's like, well, wait a second, because they never took that scene out in the home, you know, in the nursing home, out of the extended cut. So literally they showed him go, they brought her to the nursing home. She hates being there. She's pissed at him, whatever. Then the next scene, she's dead. And then he says she died alone at home. So how did you miss that, guys? It's like, you know, it's like, you didn't need that whole nursing home scene. She died at home. You were busy going back and forth from DC or Virginia or DC to New York, you know, blah, blah, blah. She obviously died at home. That's the way the story is supposed to go. But anyway.
I used to live in Virginia and I drove to those steps a couple times.
Oh, did you really?
Nice.
Yeah.
Now, is that technically in Virginia or is it in DC? Because I know
it's like right there in DC on M Street, I do believe. And it looks just like when it says Georgetown in the movie, it's exactly across the bridge right there. Exactly. It looks the same. Well, it didn't.
I was in Georgetown 2 years ago. It's because I go for my job. I go to DC a lot, not now, obviously, due to COVID. But the last time I was there, I hung out in Georgetown a couple of nights. It's a pretty cool place. A lot of great restaurants. But I got to go. Next time I go to DC, I'm going to go.
There was a gas station there, I believe, when I was there.
Oh, really? Okay, cool. Awesome. All right, Chris, back to you.
Very cool. All right. Again, another one I watched as a child. Another. Obviously, I saw all these on TV. This was a made-for-TV movie. It aired in 1973, but I'm sure I did not see the original airing, but probably saw it in like 76, 77. It definitely scared the crap out of me. The whole movie, but specifically the part where we first see the creatures, and I'm talking about Don't Be Afraid of the Dark. Uncle Charlie from My Three Sons tells Kim Darby, you know, don't undo the fireplace. You know, does she listen? No. Has him rip it apart, and then she gets these creepy little monsters that like are creeping around her house in the dark for the whole movie. And I mean, the running time's only like 70-something minutes, but man, I watched this, I don't know, a year or so ago, and I still found it to be very scary. And it was remade by who made it? What's his name? The Spanish guy.
Yeah.
Guillermo del Toro.
I brought him. Yeah.
Del Toro. Yeah.
Yes.
And I gotta be honest, I thought it sucked compared to the original. But yeah, I think
he's a great director, but I don't have any desire to watch it.
Yeah. Oh, you've never seen it?
No.
Don't bother. I mean, yeah, he's a great director.
The original's so good. I mean,
The original's so good, but yeah, the part where we first see the little monsters, the little skinny, scary monsters creeping around, that scared the crap out of me.
yeah, it's a good one. Yeah, I just watched that not too long, a couple months ago. That's good.
It still holds up.
Yeah. All right, Jamie, what do you got next?
Holy shit kebab. Multiple shits
Yeah, I see that.
on a kebab
There's
stick.
different variation or degrees of shits, right?
Yes. This is a newer one. And I watched this, man, and I haven't been scared of a movie, really scared of a movie, since I was probably 12 or 13. I watched this about 10 years ago. Paranormal Activity. And I did not believe the hype going in at all. My wife was out of the country. She was in Kenya. I was in this house. I turned off all the lights and I sat there and I watched this movie. And it's a very quiet movie because it's a found footage movie. So it's supposed to sound like there's not mics on everyone. They're kind of far away from the microphones. There's a thud here and there that might be a little loud, but I had the volume all the way up and it's still kind of quiet. Then at the end, spoiler, this chick, it's hard to see, gets dragged down the stairs. And then her boyfriend gets up and runs out of the doorway and actually looks like this at the time, normal. And she's screaming and he's screaming, and then there's silence. And there's silence for almost 2 minutes. And you're just looking at this doorway and it's quiet. You hear some footsteps coming, but that's all you hear. It takes 45 seconds. I counted when I watched the other night, 45 seconds to get to the footsteps. And then you get like 30 to 40 seconds of footsteps. Then all of a sudden, and it's really loud, the body of her boyfriend comes flying out of this doorway and hits the camera. And it's loud as hell. And it freaked me out because I wasn't expecting the volume. And then she stands there with blood on her chest. And then the movie's pretty much over. And I went to bed that night. And I swear to God, I wanted the nightlight on. At how old was I? 42 years old, scared in my own house because I thought something, I don't know what I thought was going to happen. But yeah, it got me good. Holy shit kebab, man.
My opinion, that is the best part of that movie.
Yeah, it is.
I'm not a huge fan of that franchise, but that is a great scene. The rest of the movie, I was kind of like, all right, what are we getting to here? And then,
well, it creeps me out when she stares at him too, when he's asleep and she's staring and the time's moving fast. That freaks me out too.
Well, they made like 10 of those movies.
Yeah, the first 3 I think are okay. The first one's good. Second one is okay. 3, and then don't bother.
I hate all that shaky cam found footage shit, so I won't watch any of them.
Some of it gets old, yes.
Oh.
I think that's over. You know, it's over.
I remember when Blair Witch first opened up and everybody was like, oh my God, scariest movie of all time. And then I was like,
I thought it was hilarious though. I thought it had good funny lines.
Yeah. It's annoying to watch.
Oh,
I can see where they're coming from, and then maybe it was a good idea, but it's just not scary at all.
This and Cloverfield are my 2 favorites.
Cloverfield I like. It's got a big monster.
That was the monster. I did see that one.
Yeah.
I was pissed we didn't see the monster more.
Yeah, they need to show it more, but it was kind of humorous. You know, the cast was kind of funny, and the monster payoff was good. But yeah, we need to see it more.
Good jump scare at the end when it jumps up at the helicopter.
Yeah, that is good. Looks good on 4K too, by the way. All right. So this is not so much scary as this just like completely grossed me out at the time. I don't honestly think I had seen anything like this before. And I remember I was in Long Island watching this, and it was late at night. It was, back in the day, I think it was home. I was off for the summer from college or something like that. And we'd always go to Blockbuster or whatever was the video store at the time. I don't even remember if it was Blockbuster or not. And they always had the wall with all the kind of really hardcore horror stuff, right? That you look at this and they have these big VHS boxes with this great artwork. You're like, oh my God, I never heard of any of these films. We'll just take a shot on a couple of them. So at the time, I believe the film was titled The Gates of Hell, but actually it also goes by the name of City of the Living Dead by Lucio Fulci, right? And I was very new to his films at the time. So this is Chris, what year did this come out? 80.
80, I think it's 80 in Italy, 80 or 81 in the States. I think it was like 82 or 83 as Gates of Hell.
Yeah, I saw it a couple years after that because I was already in college, so I probably didn't see this till 85 or something like that.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing, rented it. We used to rent, like, my ex-girlfriend and I used to rent a whole bunch of films, and we just watch them one after another. We just drink pounded beers, So we got to this film and I was loaded. I remember specifically, I was pretty, like, drinking Coors Lights like they were going out of style. Now, now it's like and I remember watching this film, and the film doesn't make a hell of a lot of sense to begin with, right? So if you're half in the bag, you're kind of like, all right, this is kind of cool, right?
Zombies popping in and out all
yeah,
over.
like, I don't know what's going on, but whatever, it's, and the editing is kind of choppy, and you're like, all right, whatever. And then there's the scene where you got the guy and the girl, and the chick all of a sudden starts like bleeding from her eyes. And then, like, she opens her mouth and she starts bubbling and, spitting out of her mouth. And then all of a sudden, like, all of her insides she starts vomiting out of her mouth. And it, like, never stops for like a minute and a half. And I remember just sitting there watching the scene, and you could tell it's all like fake stuff, but you had never seen like gory shit like that before. Like someone literally puking up everything, all their guts and intestines. And I'm watching this and I was just like, I'm either going to throw up or I'm going to like run from the room, because I've never seen anything so disgusting before. Now you look back on Fulci's style, because he does stuff like that in a lot of his films. This was pretty groundbreaking. But at the time, being a young college kid, drunk off my ass in a pitch black living room, watching this chick vomiting up her intestines, I was like, no more for me. It's like, what the hell is going on? The whole movie kind of freaked me out, actually, but now I've grown to absolutely love this film. So yeah, City of the Living Dead, Gates of Hell, whatever you want to call it. Lucio Fulci.
Nice. Yeah, that's a great pick. Yeah, I mean that definitely is so I think it's probably his most gruesome, of his 4 or 5 like classic films.
It's up
I mean,
there.
that scene, the scene where the angry father puts John Morgan on the table and puts the drill through his skull.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some.
I almost picked that one too. That one's pretty out there. Yeah.
Yeah, there was some really gruesome stuff in there.
Yeah.
I remember those extra big VHS boxes too. Didn't they put styrofoam in it? And you put the tape in the styrofoam and slid it in?
Not harder piece of plastic.
Oh, okay.
To keep the disc, the tape, firm in there. Because I still have quite a few of those.
The box art on those were great. It's how funny. It's like a lot of these like low budget horror films, especially like the international ones, had great box art on the VHS tapes.
And I'm a sucker for these Blu-rays that look like
those are pretty cool. Yeah,
those are super cool.
Yeah,
and that one in particular, that I forget whoever's doing that line, but God, they're like dirt cheap.
Yeah,
like, happy birthday music. Yeah, $8 or whatever. It's like, oh,
it's $99.
Yeah,
it's good stuff. Good transfers too on those.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, Chris, what else you got?
All right, again, another one. I must have been 6 or 7 years old. Saw it on regular TV. My mom to this day remembers it because my grandmother was in the hospital, and she came home when the end of the movie was on whatever channel it was, channel 5, channel 7, and me, my dad, and my sister were all watching it in the TV room, and my mom still remembers it because she came home from visiting my grandmother at the hospital, and she's like, "Hey, I'm home, Nana's okay, whatever," and none of us moved. None of us looked at her. We were all glued to the set. Particularly the ending is the scariest part of Don't Look in the Basement. This is the DVD from the 90s. I replaced it on Blu-ray not that long ago. This is the original movie poster. And if you haven't seen it, it's basically down south. It's an insane asylum. And long story short, one of the inmates, who's the good inmate, to protect one of the nurses, winds up killing all of the other crazed lunatic asylum members. And there's the very ending is the one good inmate, like covered in blood, but he's because he's kind of got the mind of a child, he's like sucking on a popsicle, but there's like blood everywhere, and you can't tell if it's the red popsicle that's dripping down his hand or the blood, and he's just covered in blood and crying because he just killed everybody. But it still holds up. It's not the greatest movie, and this sequel is shit. Don't Look in the Basement Part 2, whatever the hell they called it. It's terrible, but that's a whole nother story. But yeah, it scared me as a kid, and I think it's still pretty good.
All right.
All right,
I
Jim.
hope I'm not going to steal Chris's thunder on my next pick, but if it's in his list coming up, he can give his perspective on it. We're up to holy fucking shit. And it is this scene from Alligator, which I pre-ordered on 4K. I have not seen it in years, this movie. And I've only seen the TV movie version. I've never seen the theatrical one. So that would be on the 4K. In this scene, some kids are at a party, little kids, and they're playing a pirate, walk the plank. And one of the kids goes at the end of the diving board, and the other kids are making him walk the plank. He's got the blindfold on. And when he gets to the edge and right before he jumps in, he sees underneath this image and he goes right into the pool. Little kids die in this movie. I could not go into a pool at night with the lights on after this movie, if the lights were on, because I hate that haziness in water. I hate it. And when I finally did be able to go into pools at night with the light on, I go underwater and shut my eyes so I wouldn't see like the hazy light. So yeah, this really scarred me. And I cannot wait till February 22nd when it comes out and gets delivered with a little poster. I got a spot on the wall to put my poster there. So yes, Alligator, 1980. I believe
we'll be lucky and that'll come out a little bit before. I know
That would be
a lot of the
great.
pre-orders are coming out early. I was like,
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
I hope
And
it
I was
looks
gonna say,
great.
Jamie, I only have a couple left, but yeah, that was actually my next one. When I saw it on TV, and it was, I think the movie is pretty frightening, some of the scenes, but specifically 100%, that was the scene I was going to pick, the swimming pool scene. And, I have a swimming pool at my house, and, between Jaws and Alligator, I will not swim at night by myself.
Yeah.
I won't do it.
So it never shook. You never shook that feeling.
No. I know nothing's in it, but I won't swim alone. Especially too if I have a couple beers, because I'm always afraid if something doesn't eat me, then I'm gonna hit my head and drown. So
Now,
yeah, that's
how about
just a
this?
personal rule.
Would you go into a pool at night with the light on in someone's house in Florida?
No, not unless I can see what's in the water.
Right. I still wouldn't go in.
Yeah,
right, unless they got a fence around there.
Because it might be coming.
that's true. I actually, believe it or not, I just saw it on Epic Fail. I don't know if you guys ever watch those videos. There's every video has like 10 million views, and it's people, falling down and crashing their cars accidentally into restaurants and stuff like that. And I've seen way too many of them recently. But there was one recently, and I was like, holy shit. And I assume it was Florida, but it could have been somewhere else down south. But it was a guy and a girl, and they were in a in-ground pool, and it was a nice pool, and it was at night, and it must have been a security cam footage. And, all of a sudden in the background, there was maybe a 4-foot alligator that was, on the deck area, but then it ran and jumped into the pool to attack them. I was like, holy shit.
That's a bit more than epic fail. That's like when animals attack.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it was crazy. I mean, it was a guy and a girl, and I think the guy hit the alligator, and then it cut to the next video. So I don't know what happened. The alligator could have ate the two of them for all I know. It wasn't a huge one, but listen, it had to be a 3-footer or a 4-footer. Big enough, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Pete, take my my attempt of having snowfall on our Christmas special and send that to epic fail.
There you go. Right. It's funny. I saw a video recently. Again, I don't know where it's from or whatever, but it was shot somewhere on some dirt road, and there was like a grasslands next to it, and on the road was an alligator or croc, either one. Not that huge. I mean, it was fairly small-ish, and then in the grass was like a whole bunch of horses. And then the people are filming the horses, and the alligator's just kind of hanging out there. And one of the horses jumps up on the road and totally tramples the alligator. Went up and started just stomping all over him, and then went back and went at him again. I'd never seen anything like it before.
Wow. Feel bad for the alligator.
That alligator's like, oh, I'm out of here, man. It's like, I don't know.
Oh, he survived?
I don't know. Then it cut off. It was pretty quick.
Right.
But I was like, holy crap, horse going after the alligator. It's like,
that's crazy.
Yeah, it's something new. All right, this will be my last pick for this episode. To me, this is the granddaddy of them all. We're going to go back to what we were talking about before, where when we first got cable in Goshen, New York, my parents finally got it. I'm thinking it was 80 or 81, something like that. We got it somewhat early in our neighborhood. And I remember sitting up one night, we had Cinemax. Cinemax came free with HBO at the time. And I don't know what the fuck Cinemax was. I'm like, it's just another pay channel. They got movies on there. And I stumbled across late at night on a Friday night, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And again, one of those films that I think really I had heard about it, had never seen it. And I was really kind of taken up, by the realistic dark nature of it. It was just seemed really real. And the way it was filmed and everything like that. But the scene that really got me, it's fairly early in the film, where you got the two characters, Kirk and Pam. So Pam was the trying to remember who she was in the film. I guess maybe they were boyfriend and girlfriend. I don't remember. And they were with the whole original group that kind of drives into that area. And they're like kind of searching around, and they stumble upon this house. And the house is really old and creepy looking. And, they're outside, like, do we see any life going on in there? And Kirk knocks on the door, tries to open the door is unlocked, right? So he walks in, she's still outside looking around, whatever. So he goes in, he's looking around, he sees like the house is kind of creepy looking. There's all these old like artifacts and what looks like bones and things like that. And then literally out of nowhere jumps Leatherface, jumps into the camera, nails him over the head with a hammer. Kirk splat on the floor, drags him into the back room, slams that sliding door shut. That's obviously the meeting room or whatever. And I remember saying, it happens like really fast. And I was like, holy cow. And then the rest of the movie is just like a runaway train after that. But that's like your first real instance of dread in that movie. And the first time you see Leatherface. And I remember I was never the same after I watched this film. And I remember, Chris, it's interesting. You've told stories about how the first time you saw this, you didn't really like it. I loved it. I absolutely love this movie. I love the raw nature of it. And it was just so like visceral and it just seemed real to me. It's like almost like someone just like, is this real? Did this actually happen? Did someone just did these kids have a camera and they film everything that happens to them? It's just, I had never seen anything like it. And still to this day, I just absolutely adore this film. It's one of my favorites. So
I didn't like it the first time for the same reason I didn't like Clockwork Orange. Just made me feel too uneasy. And an uneasy feeling I didn't like. Made me feel like I had a shower after I watched it.
Yeah, it's definitely has that kind of effect on you. Yeah, I agree. And it's funny, again, we've talked about it here on the channel before. It's like the first film is not really bloody. It's more.
Well, that's why I didn't like it. I was let down because I expected this huge gore fest, and I had already been in love with movies like Zombie and Friday the 13th and Dawn of the Dead, and I was like, there's no blood in this movie. To me, that was why I was let down.
A lot of sweat, though. It's like you can smell sweat the whole time.
Oh yeah,
yeah. But that's kind of what's so good about it, though. It's like they didn't rely on that, and I think it's the shock factor that really did it for me. I mean, it literally disturbed the hell out of me. It's like it was scary, it was disturbing, and you just like, God, do people like this exist? Right? It's just this seemed really all too real. And then then you have what's her face, the main character, just screaming up a storm the whole end of the film, right?
Marilyn Burns,
with the family. That was just wacky.
And don't tell me that guy directed Poltergeist.
But that guy directed Salem's Lot
and Funhouse
and Life Force.
Yeah. All right. Well, put it this way, he had something to do with it.
He did. I heard he set up the scenes, and like Spielberg would then take over or something. Like
well, Poltergeist has a sheen about it that I think Spielberg written all over it. But I just don't know some of the scary stuff in Poltergeist. I don't know if Spielberg would have gone there. I think that's Hooper's touch. But
the ripping of the face in the mirror.
So it's a good combination of the two of them.
The exploding steak is so creepy.
Yeah. All right, so that was my last one. So you guys,
I got two more main ones.
I got one last one.
All right.
It's actually the movie, Pete, that you just mentioned, which is Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I didn't love it at first. Over years, I grew to love it, and I totally flip-flopped because I loved Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 because it was very gory. It had great special effects from Tom Savini, but over time, I'm like, Texas Chainsaw 2 is kind of a stupid comedy, and Texas Chainsaw 1 is really the horrific, scary film. But here's my two Blu-rays, and I'm sure I know there's a 4K out there. When they release it in the States in 4K, I'll have to get it. But my scene is actually not a scene at all. It was a DVD Easter egg that I found unexpectedly, and it was the first time this came out on DVD in the late 90s. I looked for the version in my collection, but I might have sold it or traded it off when I bought the Blu-rays. So I no longer have the DVD, but I think it was from MPI Home Video. I remember a lot of red on the cover. Of course, Leatherface is on the cover. Long story short, it was the late 90s, so I must have been like 26 or 27 years old. Seen the movie 100 times, and I was homesick, home from work. I had the flu, and I was very sick. So I was jacked up on cough medicine and cough drops, and just watching movies in my bed, sick, alone all day with the lights off. And I remember I had put in Texas Chainsaw Massacre on DVD. It was the first time I had seen it, and I watched the movie. I enjoyed it, and I don't remember if I watched the extras or not, but I remember, and I should have kept the disc just for this menu. But there was a DVD menu where it was like you were in a room and it was all dark, and there was a light bulb, just a light bulb on a string, and you could hear like something dripping, like it was blood or something. And I remember I was so hopped up on cough medicine that I was just like a zombie lying in bed. The movie ended, and I was like, I gotta get up and put another disc on. But that 8-foot walk from my bed to the DVD player is like agony.
Wow.
So I remember just like staring at the screen going, all right, I gotta get up. All right, one more minute, I'll get up and I'll put in some Dawn of the Dead, whatever. And I didn't realize it at the time, but if you leave this menu on for a certain amount of time, it was an Easter egg, and I think there was a door in the background. All of a sudden, the door kicks open and Leatherface charges the screen. It's animated Leatherface, but with the chainsaw, and I fucking jumped. I don't know how my head didn't hit the ceiling. I couldn't believe it. Of course, then I laughed because I was like, this, they got me, because I wasn't waiting. I wasn't expecting it.
Why is it they never do
What a
that?
great idea.
Certain DVDs used to do that back in the day. They don't do that anymore.
Scared the crap out of me. And then later on I read, well, that's an Easter egg. If you leave it, at the 5-minute, 40-second mark, Leatherface jumps out of the back, but scared the shit out of me.
Yeah, right. Imagine you in your like the flu days, and you're just kind of.
Oh, yeah. That's what it was. I was, I was kind of in and out of consciousness, and I was like, whoa.
You're awake now.
Yeah. And to me, that was scarier than anything. I love the movie, but scarier than anything in the movie.
I will say the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre trailer is pretty good.
Oh, absolutely.
That guy who does the voice on it.
Was that John Larroquette who does the intro too?
I think so, yeah.
Oh, really?
Well, he's the narrator in the beginning of the movie, John Larroquette from Night Court.
Night Court.
Yeah.
But to me, the big difference between Texas Chainsaw Massacre and all the other slashers is I always kind of feel like Leatherface is kind of the hero of the story. Like, these kids, they go to his property, and then they got the balls to break into his house. Like, all he's doing is defending his house and property. And listen, it is Texas we're talking about.
Right. Kind of like that movie,
isn't
Don't Breathe. Is that the one I'm thinking about? Where they got the blind guy, they bust into his house?
Yes.
That newer movie?
Yes, I think that is Don't. I saw it in the drive-in once. But yeah, same kind. But wasn't he like a pedophile or something? I forget.
Oh, was he?
Maybe. But that's
the new
why
one is out now.
Yeah, there's another one. Yeah, that came out just recently. But yeah, I always think with Chainsaw. Well, listen, these kids were fucking around. They went to his property. They weren't asking, And then they had the balls just to break in his house and be like, "Hey, what's going on?" So, Leatherface had to take Kirk out. Listen, what would Pete Pardo do if some kid just started walking in his house and Pete just happened to have a sledgehammer in his hand?
I guess we got dinner, right?
That's it. That's it. Fry him up.
Oh man! All right, Jamie, finish.
All right, I got two more main ones. Holy shit and fucking shit. Because when I saw this one, oh man, I watched this movie by myself. Our family room was downstairs. Now you got to understand, 1984, I was very close to my Italian grandmother, and she just passed away. That same year, I believe it was the same year, with my little dog Perkins, with all the lights out, because I didn't know what I was about to get into, I decided to watch by myself this movie called The Exorcist. And, you could pick a bazillion scenes.
Yeah.
You could pick the telephone. When Karras is listening to the tape of Reagan talking backwards, and you're so engrossed, you're listening. That is backwards. Kill the priest. And then the phone rings. Holy cow, what a jump scare. But this is the scene that gives me chills.
Oh, yeah.
When he sees his mother there. And then you start hearing, Demi, why you do this to me? Demi, you are not my mother. Oh, my God. And you know what? And it looks a little bit like my grandmother at the time, I watched it last night. And when she's walking up and down the subway in the dream sequence, frightening. That old woman. Okay, what we want you to do is just walk up the stairs. Good. Now walk back down them. And she is probably like, this is a stupid movie. Yeah, you're doing one of the most frightening scenes ever. So yeah, Exorcist, got the shirt on.
Nice.
Such a great film.
Oh, and then I got one more main one. We are now up to, holy shit. That's so fucking holy. You can offer it.
Uh-oh, here we go.
To people as communion. Shit. The granddaddy of them all. I was watching Dracula 1979 in my bedroom. It had to be a Sunday because my grandparents were visiting. And they were in the kitchen down the long hallway talking to my parents like they always did on Sunday evenings. And it must have been on the Sunday night movie. And it's not that scary. I got the lights off, I'm in bed. Actually, I was on the floor and the TV was on the floor and I'm watching it. And then this scene comes out of nowhere. Mina down below, underneath her grave, and her father comes and she starts coming towards her father. And she's like, "Come to me, Papa. Come to me." I'll never forget that the first time I heard it. I got up. I never felt a shiver down my spine like that and still haven't. I'm getting it right now. I went running down the hallway. Of course, it was dark, the hallway. Went running into the kitchen. The light was on. People were talking. They were acting normal. And it was like, thank God. Thank God. You have no idea what's going on down there. I tried to tell my grandparents, my parents, what I just saw. And they're like, yeah. Anyways, did you hear about Butch? I'm like, oh, you people. This is the scariest fucking scene I've ever seen in any movie ever.
Wow.
Yeah, Mina, and they go
I
ahead.
saw it in the theater in 1979. I was 8, but I do not remember.
That one scene's on YouTube. All you gotta do is
I'll have to watch it again because I know I've seen it maybe once since then, but I really don't remember the movie as a whole.
Yes, it's so scary.
Okay.
Do you have honorable mentions, Chris?
I mean, the only one that I just had one because it really wasn't that scary, but it was really kind of creepy, I guess, or just icky. And again, another one I saw when I was 5 or 6 years old, and it was The Baby. Really weird and bizarre movie that stuck with me as a kid. There's like, I don't know, have you guys ever saw it? There's like a 21-year-old kid who, I forget if it's a head trauma or if he was born like that, but he's 21 years old, but he's got the mind of a 20-month-year-old, an infant basically, or a toddler, whatever you call him. and there's a social worker who gets involved, and with the mom and the two wicked, sisters who take care of baby, and they don't even have a name; they just call him baby for the whole movie. And the whole movie, the social worker is trying to help and trying to get the baby away from the overbearing mother and the wicked sisters. Long story short, at the end of the movie, the social worker murders the mother and the two sisters and buries them in cement in the swimming pool that she's putting together at her house. And like the last shot of the movie, and you think, oh wow, okay, well that wasn't right to like murder the mother and the sisters, but she really was trying to help the baby. And at the very end of the movie, spoiler alert, you find out that the social worker is married or was married, and her husband was in an accident and had severe head trauma. So he is like an infant too, like a 40-year-old man. And the reason she wanted the baby was so that she could raise him, and her husband would have a playmate. So it's these two adult babies, very creepy, just not that scary. I mean, I wasn't worried I was going to turn into an infant at 5 years old, but it just always stuck with me, and I always just thought it was really creepy.
I never heard of that.
Yeah.
Me neither. I do have two honorable mentions here. Call them Holy Moly and Holy Cow because they're lesser than the other ones. I do not like Pet Sematary 89 that much. It's okay, but this scene
The
of
sister,
the sister, yes,
Yeah.
very scary as she comes running up to the door. Holy Moly creeped me out in my teens. Eraserhead, the lady in the radiator.
Chris hates that movie. Yeah,
I had to turn it off. I couldn't.
That is a weird ass scene. Yeah.
But she's very, very creepy.
Yeah.
And I do have Holy Lord, what are you talking about? Because that's what you're going to say when I mention this.
This is another weird, creepy happiness child pedophile.
No, the opposite direction.
Okay.
Couldn't be more 180. All right. I don't like the ocean. I do not like murkiness, and I don't like things when people or animals, come out of the murkiness. And there's a scene in Finding Nemo where this whale comes behind them, and it freaks me the hell out, man. I hate it. They're just chilling, and it slowly comes out of the murkiness, and then it opens its mouth. I'm like, damn, that's freaky for a kid's movie. And I brought up Ghostbusters last week. So holy Ghostbusters, Batman, he's doing it again. The librarian is pretty scary at the very beginning of that movie. I remember in the theater going, whoa. So, and the thunderstorm in open water, I couldn't get a picture of it. But when there's lightning flashing and you see the sharks in the water, and when the lightning flashes for a moment, you see a bunch of sharks, freaks me out.
Yeah, because
I was in the trailer in a movie theater, and I was freaked out in the movie theater. I can't remember what I was really seeing.
Yeah. That movie was very unnerving because the entire time because I don't like deep water either, and I'm just picturing myself in the water with them the whole time, and I'm like, oh, this is really, really uncomfortable.
Oh yeah, and the whole time you're just like, wow, this you could see this happening so easily. Wait, it's just somebody counting? Holy shit.
Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, then that movie was, I thought, based on a real story.
It was.
They don't know, how the couple died, but they know a couple got left somewhere and they never came back.
I know how they died.
Yeah.
Watch the end of the movie.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah. Not good. Not good. I will throw out there. I didn't really pick a scene. I was just thinking about it. I don't like some of the modern horror stuff they have. There's some scenes in a lot of movies that are very effective, and the jump scares are in so many movies nowadays. And I think a lot of modern horror tend to utilize tricks that were done in like The Ring and The Grudge, and they overdo that stuff to death. But I really enjoyed it. Actually, for the first time in a long time, actually got kind of creeped out and like startled by a lot of scenes in the first Conjuring film. which I think,
Oh yeah.
right? I mean, I think that was really well done. And I think, again, I haven't watched it in a while, and so I can't really pinpoint a scene, but there was a few of them in that first film that I was kind of like, holy shit, that's very well done, because it startled me, and that doesn't really happen. So
Right.
I do want to throw that out there. The first Conjuring, it's pretty damn good.
And in general, The Omen, the musical score.
Yeah,
gives
the
me
Omen
the
is great.
creeps. The whole music.
Yeah. And same thing with Rosemary's Baby, I think, adds to the kind of creepy factor of the film. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's another thing. I mean, that could be a whole other topic about, film scores that add to the whole ambiance and make the film even scarier because the music is so ominous, right? So,
Right.
Sure.
yeah.
And because of you guys, I got this up my ass, and I spent $65 on the Criterion out of print Rosemary's Baby.
Gotta have it. It's great.
Now I'll be $32.50 each, please.
Nice.
Gotta have it, right? Yeah. Criterion does a great job on their films. They really do.
Although Jamie will soon learn, now that you bought it for however
4K.
much, there'll quickly be another version to put
I
that
know.
one to shame.
I know.
It's the way it goes. Never
Yeah.
ends. It never ends. Anyway, there you have it, everybody. Some of you've asked for it. Now you've got some of the scenes that really creeped and scared us throughout our lives. And we had a whole bunch of them here for you today. So in the comments below, please list those scenes from classic or not so classic horror films that did it for you, that just sent you shivering and running for the covers or under your bed or in the closet or whatever the hell you did. So visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. Of course, we're here on YouTube all the damn time. For Chris Allo and Jamie Laszlo, tune in next week for another edition of the Monsters Den. I am Pete Pardo. Till then, keep watching those spooky movies, and we'll see you next time. Take care.